All right, what is going on, guys? Scars here, or Brian, whatever you'd like to call me. And guys, I, of course, am making this video a little bit late because as far as everyone already knows about the earthquakes or recent events of earthquakes that have happened here in the Philippines over just the last week and a half, it's been kind of all over the news. Even here in Bacolod, I actually did feel the big 6.9 magnitude earthquake that happened in Bogo, and I wanted to just give a little story about what my experience was, and I'm sure those of you guys who are here in the Philippines have your own stories too, but this is just, of course, my experience. Also, I apologize, you guys see all these marks on my neck. I just shaved and just got some pretty gnarly razor burns, so I was shaving way too quick, so don't shave too fast if you don't want to get bad razor burn. But guys, before I tell the story, I actually want to show you that there was actually some damage that was done from the earthquake, even here in Bacolod. Now, these are slightly larger than hairline cracks, just barely, but not anything too severe, obviously. You guys can see it kind of runs down here. And then if I kind of come over here to the front door, you can see some long cracks that have happened here as well. So this is kind of the damage, I guess you could say, was sustained here in Bacolod, at least in my condo. But I'll try to give you just a quick rundown of my experience, at least with the Bogo City earthquake. And then obviously, as you guys know, there was the even bigger one that happened off the coast of Davao just a couple days ago, or actually just yesterday as I'm recording this video. But yeah, it kind of started just at 9:59, 10 p.m. Basically, I was actually sitting right here at my chair in the kitchen dining room area, and all of a sudden I kind of felt the room slightly starting to, sway a little bit, and I thought, oh shit, there's a tremor, because I've actually dealt with a couple of them over the last 2 years here in the Philippines, but I have never ever experienced an earthquake before. And the tremor ended up not being a tremor at all. The entire room actually was swaying side to side. I could actually physically feel my body moving with the swaying as the building is kind of, moving like this. And it's a very unnerving feeling because you kind of see everything moving. You guys can see up there, obviously, I have those chandelier style lights. And when you see the whole thing's moving side to side and doors are closing and opening as well, it's a really, really freaky feeling. And I didn't know how to react at first. I actually went to my balcony, which probably, looking back, isn't the best idea, but I went to my balcony just to look down and wanted to see how much stuff was moving. And I realized, yeah, it was pretty bad. And I got my stuff and I basically ran out the door. I don't even think I shut my door. I left it wide open. There was a moment where I really just thought, oh my God, the place is gonna collapse. We're all gonna die. Obviously, everything's fine because I'm still here and the engineers didn't think that it warranted evacuation or moving out of the place. Obviously, it wasn't that bad. And yeah, I ran down the stairs, the emergency stairs. Some people were taking the elevator, which I would think would be common sense. Don't take an elevator during an earthquake, but people still did it anyways. But yeah, I'm here on the 10th floor, so I ran down 10 flights of stairs and got out the front lobby, and I guess I was one of the first people to do it because there was only just a few people out there, and then a few minutes later, you see a bunch of people kind of rushing out, and again, you see the elevators coming down too. I know there's a lot of retired and older folks that live in this place. Actually, I'm one of the few younger people that live here, so I'm sure that has some part to do with that. But either way, I don't think that was still a good idea. But either way, got outside, waited a few minutes. Everything seemed okay, and I actually went back up, ran up 10 flights of stairs, which was exhausting. Got in my room, and I think 20 minutes later we had the aftershock, which was just kind of some slight shaking again I was feeling, but that's pretty much it. I didn't know anything about the cracks that were in my walls until the next day, but again, I think they're just kind of like plaster, like small, thin hairline cracks just through kind of the wall itself. I don't think there's any structural stress or damage that was done here. But not really a long story, but I just wanted to share that because even here in Bacolod, which is like a good 70 or 80 miles away from Bogo, where they had the massive impact from the epicenter, which just completely rocked everything, and a lot of people died, unfortunately, over 70. And so far, this other quake, the 7.4 or whatever it was off of Davao, was just huge as well. But I think they were a lot further away from the epicenter, so I think there's a lot less impact in terms of death toll. I assume so anyways. It's still fresh. It just happened yesterday, so I'll have to keep up with it. Either way, rest in peace to everyone that were affected by these two giant earthquakes. And some people, take a look at the map, obviously. I'll show the map right here. You guys can see kind of the connection points of these earthquakes that have been happening. And some people are thinking, okay, is there going to be a big one that's coming now because this trend of earthquakes that have been occurring? Not necessarily. If you think about how the tectonic plates move along the fault lines and the different fault lines that run across the Philippines, for the most part, they're pretty independent of each other. Obviously, when you have a big earthquake that happens, you'll obviously get the higher likelihood of big aftershocks are going to happen around the area where the earthquake was. But in terms of other big separate events happening, they're pretty independent of each other. I think that I wouldn't say that it's super rare that this has happened, these two big earthquakes back to back over the last week and a half or 2 weeks, but I would say it's not super common either. You have to remember Philippines is kind of along the ring of fire, as they call it, right, of the earthquakes and active fault lines. So unfortunately, Philippines is just as a risk as really anywhere else along that ring of fire. And it's just unfortunate that we experienced these two pretty big back-to-back earthquakes in just a 10-day span. Now, what does that mean for some of you guys who are thinking about coming here to the Philippines, but now maybe you're changing your mind because you're afraid of the possibility of these earthquakes occurring? In my opinion, life is a risk in general. I don't think that, for me personally, this would make me avoid the Philippines, right? I'm sitting in my condo right now, and as I showed you some of the cracks in my room, still doesn't concern me because obviously the building is safe enough to continue operation. You have to remember a lot of these buildings, at least the more modern buildings, condominiums, are built to withstand some of these earthquakes. And I know that someone's gonna make the point that infrastructure is poorer in the Philippines, which is true. I think that compared to some of the other Southeast Asian competitors, right, like Thailand or Vietnam, they probably have much better protection against earthquakes in general. But it hasn't swayed me to thinking that I felt unsafe to the point where I need to leave the Philippines. I think that these are just unfortunate events that have happened, but I don't think that this is something that should make you think, oh man, if I go to the Philippines, I might die in an earthquake. The vast majority of the people who died from these earthquakes are in these very poorly made homes that are kind of deep in these little alleyways, right? You guys see them when you're driving through the city. You see these very poorly made homes that are made from scrap metal, essentially, and concrete. Of course, they're at a much higher risk of collapse. So it just really kind of depends where you live. And I mean, what is your fear? Do you have a big enough fear of earthquakes that you just want to avoid anywhere that has them? Then maybe that's a legitimate reason not to come to the Philippines. Some people have extreme anxiety about earthquakes. For me, it's definitely a scary experience, but I wouldn't say that I'm living in fear every day. I mean, you have to remember, this is the first time in 2 years of being here that I've experienced something like this. And for being in such a active earthquake zone, it really wasn't, it really wasn't as common as I thought it was going to be. When I first came here and I heard that it was an active zone, I thought, oh my God, I'm going to feel an earthquake every other week. But, for this being the first time in almost 2 years, I felt a real earthquake. I guess that's not too bad. And for me, I guess it hasn't, again, been to the point where I'm like, okay, I need to get out of here because that was a scary experience. Again, life is about risk, guys. And I think many countries you're going to move to, you're going to deal with some form of meteorological phenomenons and events that are going to happen. And yeah, earthquakes, unfortunately, just happen to be one of those things that, you know, will either make or break people who live here. You know, I'm talking about expats anyways. But anyways, I'm kind of rambling on about the earthquake thing, but I just wanted to kind of give my quick 2 cents about the situation, you know, that I experienced anyways. And again, I think that if you guys are wanting to come to the Philippines, but you have this fear about being in an earthquake, I mean, the odds of it happening to you are pretty low, considering I've been here 2 years and it's the first time I experienced it. So I still think Philippines is a great country to come visit. Obviously, if you're living in a more modern place, it's going to be a more comfortable experience. And, you know, God forbid, an earthquake happens, you know, just let it pass, get downstairs, make sure the building is safe. And for the most part, it's going to be good. I mean, they wouldn't allow people to live in these buildings if they thought that the risk of death was high from the earthquakes. I think that these buildings are well protected enough that I don't think that it's been a big contributing factor for me to feel any danger or any fear to not live here. So again, that's just kind of been my experience. If any of you guys who are living here in the Philippines experience the earthquake, please let me know in the comment section below. I'd love to hear your stories about what you experienced. And for some of you guys who want to come to the Philippines, has it swayed your decision to come? Or, I mean, are you still planning to or not? Let me know. And yeah, hopefully I'll make some more videos soon, guys. I want to make some more video vlogs here in Bacolod. So if you guys have any ideas, also leave that in the comments below. Other than that, I will see you guys in the next video.